Welcome to Barbecue Catering Smarts, the go-to podcast for barbecue operators looking to grow and streamline their catering operations. Every episode, we're serving up expert advice, proven systems, and flavorful strategies straight from top leaders in the barbecue and catering world. So fire up the pit. It's time for another sizzling episode.
Hello again, I'm Michael Attias, your host of Barbecue Catering Smarts, and today's guest is Julie Reinhardt, co-owner of Smokin Barbecue. For more than 22 years, Julie, alongside her husband and chef Eric, has been in the trenches building a barbecue catering business that quite literally shows up for every stage of life. As Julie puts it, catering is a little survivor, a little chop, and a little amazing race every single day, and she wouldn't have it any other way. As seasoned operator and author of She Smoke, a backyard barbecue book, Julie brings a thoughtful, hard-earned perspective on building a durable catering business, from working with your spouse to making smart, steady moves that set you up to adapt and grow over time. And we're excited to have her on the show today. But before we get started, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor, Caterzen Catering Software. They help barbecue restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why barbecue restaurants trust Caterzen to save them time and increase catering sales. Go to caterzen.com and sign up for a walkthrough of the software. Now let's dive into this episode of Barbecue Catering Smarts. Welcome, Julie. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Michael. Doing great.
Good. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Good. You're based out of New York?
No, Seattle.
Seattle. There was two Smokin Pete's. I did a quick Google search.
Oh, yeah, there is upstate New York, I think.
I like Seattle. I love Seattle. Okay, so I like to start off with a icebreaker question. Give me a number between 1 and 300, and let's see what they come up with.
177.
177. What's your favorite animal and why?
Ooh, definitely the brown bear.
Spent
some time in Alaska in a brown bear preserve. My husband and I worked at in a lodge up there. And it was remote and beautiful and just got to know them.
Oh, wow. How long did y'all do that for?
It was a summer season.
Oh, fun.
Before we opened Smokin Pete's, it's kind of the impetus before we started our own business.
Do y'all do a lot of smoked salmon?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, I had
Grilled salmon too.
Yeah, I had salmon up at a lodge in Alaska. Went on a cruise, and they said, "Go walking through the woods, but watch out for the bears." I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know that we want to go walking very far.
Yeah, there were no paths that were human paths where we were.
Wow.
It was fly-in only, no roads.
Yeah, we had
Any path was a bear path.
we had to fly in. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is. Yeah.
So how'd you end up opening up your restaurant?
Well, we're both from catering and restaurants our whole life. We met at a restaurant.
So tell me about that.
I was a waitress. He was a cook. It's classic combination. Christmas party, you know.
A little alcohol.
Yeah, you know. But we did backstage catering a lot, and I worked for a couple of other companies. He chefed at a lot of different restaurants around Seattle, and we knew that we needed to open our own business, just because the only way to kind of build a life in this business is to be an owner.
Yeah, definitely. So how did y'all start off?
We worked for a big corporation.
Did you start off as caterers and expanded to have the restaurant? Did you start with the restaurant?
Started with the restaurant. We had that for 10 years in Ballard, but the catering was growing to a point where we couldn't do both in that space. We also knew that our lease was not forever there. We're going to knock that building down and build apartment buildings, like everything in Seattle. At the time we had 2 young children, so we looked into expanding. We looked into opening a second location, and we just thought, less is more. Let's just go 100% catering.
So let's walk through that, because I think we're all predisposed to thinking more is more, right? like
Mhm.
need another location. And I went through that phase in my business where we opened another location, twice the overhead and 10 times the problems. And
More money, more problems.
right. And I think you
Yeah.
get to a point where not everybody thinks this way, but it's like quality of life. And
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot about quality of life. Like you can't buy more time, you can't buy that quality. So, how did you come to that? Because, obviously you were very young to come to that conclusion. Was it because you had kids? Was it,
We had kids. I'll tell you, there was one time we were about to have our daughter's 3rd birthday party. All the guests were on the way. We get the call, "Cook's in jail." And I was like, "I can't live my life like this." Eric had to go to the restaurant, and I had to run that whole birthday party by myself and entertain the parents.
uh,
And I was like, "Uh-uh."
well, sometimes something happens in your life that's the impetus. And sometimes,
Mhm.
like for me, it's like seeing my parents work hard. It's like, well, what's the point? You see this too often. I think COVID brought this to the forefront.
Mm,
You see too many people, just one day they're dead and they didn't enjoy the journey. And I
right.
really try to enjoy the journey because at the end of the day, if you made twice as much money, by the time you pay your taxes and you deal with all the headaches, are you really having that much double the happiness, double the enjoyment?
Absolutely not. Well, and the restaurant would make money seasonally, but then it would drain seasonally, so it always was a bit of a wash.
Yeah.
So we're like, it's good for the catering brand, and that's kind of how we were able to launch our catering business, but it wasn't a huge moneymaker, you know?
So if you were going to talk to somebody starting from scratch, because there's a lot of people, it's sort of like a spectrum. On one spectrum, you've got people who have multi units and they have a lot of experience and they've got their growth plan. And on the other end, you've got that guy or gal who starts off and they cook in their backyard for their family, and their
Mhm.
family's like, "This is great," and then they bring their friends into it, and then the next thing you know, someone says, "Hey, would you mind catering my kid's graduation party?" And then someone
Right.
says, "Would you cater this?" And it takes on a life. So there's this whole spectrum. If you were to start today and start from, backyard to build a catering business, what advice would you give somebody N to build, number
Yeah,
1, but also to avoid the pitfalls? Like, what are some tips? Like, I would guess one of them is don't go out and sign a big lease before you need to, right?
right, right, for sure. Just start small, grow slowly. Don't quit your day job until you really are, we are also a commissary kitchen, so we get a lot of these small operators that use our kitchen, and I've seen those mistakes where they put all their life savings into a food truck before it's really tried and true. And so, yeah, slow growth.
Yeah, I tend to be more I've turned down outside funding when I started my software company, and I've been, you know, offers to buy out, to invest, to grow, and it's like I don't wanna grow too quickly. I don't wanna deal with
Mhm.
partners. I don't want the headache of, "You didn't make your numbers this quarter. You got one more number,
Right.
or we're gonna put you out, or our board's gonna take over." I don't need those headaches at any
Let the
stage of my
bank be
life.
your partner, get a business loan. Don't partners we've had, had partners in the past. It's much more manageable if you can keep it small at first. And I say I'm small. We're a small business, but we've catered for 5,000 people before. I mean, we can do volume.
Yeah.
Uh, but that took time.
So, let's talk about the early days of marketing versus now 22 years later. So in the early days of marketing your catering, what did you do? Were you hunters or were you more farmers? Relied on word of
Hmm.
mouth, advertising? What'd you do to build your
Uh,
or what
a
advice
little
would you
bit of
have for
both.
someone?
I listened to Linda Bogach,
Yeah,
from Central
yeah,
Barbecue, her podcast last week. Really loved it. It was great to hear someone that is in my brain and does what I do. And the restaurant, we had the restaurant, we did have that little business card place for people to put that. That's a great way to get reach out to people. When we started, the year that we started was the year that Google went public.
The Google.
So, yeah, they've done a little better than we have, but but it just a little bit. I
Yeah,
didn't have a cell phone.
yeah. I see you're not taking this podcast interview from inside your private Gulfstream.
Yeah. Um, so it has changed dramatically. And part of, what like, for instance, the reason I love Cater Zen is because it took my brain, which and put it in a database. And I could never find a catering software that did that, for instance. I was every kitchen order of every catering, I did all the formulas in my Excel spreadsheet. So using tech to your advantage is one thing that we can do without relying completely on tech. It's still about relationships, face
For
to
sure.
face. And
Tech is like it's like a bigger smoker. It helps you do what you do well, so you don't have to do it. You could do it at scale when you have that tech to help you
right,
out. But
exactly.
it's not a replacement for the human touch and the relationships and knowing your
And I'd
customer and your
much
prospect.
rather, give someone, either a discount or have a way of getting them in and building that relationship over a long period of time. I don't care about making that quick sale or making the most from that sale because I want that person as a 10-year client.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all about the lifetime value. And you know in a perfect world, I look at Jillian who works for us. One of the reasons I put her in the position she's in, she's warm, she's fuzzy, she relates to
yes, she
people,
is. I remember her.
and, you know, she looks at the relationships with our clients as they're her friends, right? They share what's going on. She'll tell me, "Oh, so and so's a cross stitcher too, and we shared this and that." And that's ultimately, life is tough enough. When you wake up and you have to deal with somebody for work or for life, you want to enjoy who you're working with, right? Vendor,
Absolutely.
employee, coworker. And I think that makes a difference when you have those relationships, because that way you also know if you do screw up, your friend's going to say, "Hey, Julie, just to let you know, you ran out of beans. Oh, let me make it right," whatever. They're not going to,
Exactly.
if it becomes a habit, then they're not going to be a customer. But, and you're going to want to take care of them because, if you did something to your friend to hurt their feelings or do something wrong, you're going to want to take care of them because, it's a relationship more than anything else.
Right. Yeah. In terms of marketing, we do everything from mini pie drops to those businesses that are happy to get them. The tech world is completely shut down. I mean, you cannot get through the door.
Right.
And I don't want to market to people who don't want me there. And I don't want to show up
Do
if
y'all
somebody
make
doesn't
your
want
own
that mission.
pies? Mini pies?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we make our little mini pies, and we'll drop them as with little, with a brochure,
Yeah.
business card.
Okay. I love pie. What kind of pies?
Pecan, apple, sweet potato, key lime, mixed berry.
Okay.
All
So I love key lime. I think I make the best key lime because I'm
okay.
I'm at the beach, and I don't know if all these restaurants got people complaining that they were too tart, so they made them sweeter. Because most of the
No, you gotta have that
that's
balance.
got to have some
Mhm.
pucker to it. And
Absolutely.
my kids will tell you I make the best, and I'm not being biased. Like, it's really good. Because here it
I'm
seems
sure.
like they've dumbed it down, and it's more like sweetened condensed milk. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't need sugar pie,
Right?
but I do love a good pecan pie. And I
Mm.
tell you what else I love, a good coconut cream pie.
Oh, yeah. That's my dad's favorite. I make it for him once in a while,
There
but
is
we
a
don't make it, with the restaurant,
It's a
with the
pain.
catering.
There's a place in Birmingham, they're out of business. I think their pies were 10 pounds. They made the crust from scratch, and it was just filled with that, and then like a mound of fresh whipped topping. Oh my God.
Mm.
To
Yeah.
die for.
Nice.
To die for.
Mm.
So obviously when you're bringing homemade desserts, I mean, who doesn't want sweets? And you're gonna at least get if you call them back, you're gonna get their time. Did you do a lot of sampling in the beginning? Do you do any sampling now? Or you
You mean of
just
other competitors?
well, we could go down that rabbit hole. No, I was just talking
Yeah.
about like
Yep.
somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, we want to do an event for 1,000."
Oh, yeah. We do tastings, especially for wedding clients and bigger corporate clients. But all those are pretty labor intensive, and you can't reach lots of people. But we do that in the slow times, and then we do marketing emails. We
How
kind of
often
go by industry.
how often do you send out marketing emails, like a mass email?
Not even once a month.
Every couple
I've
of
always
months?
been a little shy about that, and probably too much. So, but we do targeted emails. We do like our construction clients and our complexes, like our residence halls. The-
So
So
you
we
so
do
you have
more
everybody
targeted.
segmented in the database, which is
Yeah.
really smart. And I noticed because before I started the software company, I did a lot of coaching and teaching people how to get into the catering industry and whatnot. Why do you think the basics, like sending out an email, is the easiest thing in the world, right? And now with
Mhm.
ChatGPT, even if you're no disrespect, the dumbest person on the face of the planet, ChatGPT could write you a good, you
I'm
know,
not gonna use it.
but let's just say you're not a good writer. ChatGPT can give
Sure.
you a good email to send out. Why
Mhm.
do you think operators don't do the basics like what you're doing? Like you're not talking about anything whiz bang where you hire some all-star sales rep and they're making 100 phone calls and they're knocking on 10 doors a day. I mean, you're just talking
Mm-mm.
about just general follow-up marketing, right?
Answering the phone is I always tell my staff, like, just get back to people as soon as you can. That wipes out half of the competition right there. I think people are nervous about writing, and they don't wanna bug people, and I think a lot of small operators are just overwhelmed. They're trying to do too much,
Yeah.
so they don't, aren't able to work on their business, because 'cause they're always working in the business.
So I saw that quote when I was reading some prep material. Um, Where did you get the quote working on your business instead of in it? I know where I got it from, but I don't know.
I've heard it. I don't know, it's out there.
It comes from Michael Gerber, author of the E-Myth Revisited,
Okay,
and that's sort of
thank you
where
for the reference.
yeah, and think it fits. I consider myself lazy, but if I was being politically correct, I'd say I'm efficient. So I think,
Yeah,
working on where did you how long have you been working on your business versus in, and explain what that means
hmm,
at different phases.
it it took me a while. I used to try to do everything, and I was more frazzled. When you make some mistakes and you realize you gotta have your systems in place. Also, as I just got older, I need need more time to rest. And I'm better. I'm a better boss if I'm more calm and happier. And I when you are able to duplicate your brain, then you can get your staff to be able to do what is in your brain, so you can take a step back and do podcasts and think about goals for the year.
Right.
You know.
And even in the beginning, like, you don't start off on day one. I didn't start off on day one saying, "Oh, I'm gonna spend 80% of my day working on the business." You start off saying, "Hey, if I can steal away 30 minutes a day to be proactive, that
Mhm.
30 minutes will yield me the results to get an hour, then 2 hours, and now I can hire somebody to do the things like I don't like to do paperwork. I don't like to do accounting. I'm very good with numbers, like I can analyze them
Mhm.
and I enjoy analyzing the numbers because I want to be on top of my numbers that's working on the
Sure.
business. But if you ask me to reconcile bank statements, take an ice pick and put it in my ear and just
Mhm.
lather, rinse, repeat. I mean, it's just, and so it took me a while to say, why am I having all this stress, reconciling my credit card statement every month to get myself reimbursed and all this? I could pay somebody next to nothing to do it, and I'm losing that $300 a month in stress to
Yeah.
pay somebody to reconcile this stuff. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you my first business plan, I keep it as a humorous document. It was
Yeah.
hilarious. It was, "I'm gonna do the front, Eric's gonna do the back, we'll have a part-time dishwasher." I'm like, so yeah, you need a lot more staff than you think. You need a really good dishwasher that will show up every day. That's the most important person
Yeah.
of the business. Because otherwise you're doing dishes. And you have to just plan for, like, we plan for winter loss, put it away, sock it away in the summer, plan for that slow
Yeah.
time that you really need. You need to regroup your business. You need to recharge your battery. You need to do things like reaching out to new markets, then working on your systems and
Right.
organizing. That doesn't bring in income directly, but it will eventually.
Right. You got to
You
plant
know.
the seeds to be able to,
Hmm.
harvest the crops for sure.
Yeah, I
Eh,
call myself a barbecue farmer.
oh, really?
Uh, Yeah, because it's so seasonal, and you are planting those seeds in the winter, and you're doing a lot of the corporate and wedding proposals in the winter for the summer, and then you're
And
harvesting in the summer.
a lot of harvest time. I talked to a guy out of Nebraska yesterday. So they're busy during the warm weather, right? And in the cold weather, they open up their venues. So their catering kitchen, commissary, the front is like a venue, and
Mhm.
they open up like on Fridays to the public, right? And it's
Great,
just
yeah,
it's to stay busy, make a few bucks, keep people,
exactly.
the locals have something to do, and I thought that was pretty cool. I've always said
That's great.
that would be a fun business to have with like a few friends, like have just a little crappy building, and it's like a clubhouse. We only open
Just
up
the
on
pop-ups.
Yeah, we only open
Yeah,
on Fridays, and come get barbecue. And when we
mhm.
sell out, he said, I asked him something. He goes, "Oh no, we sell out within a couple hours, 2, 3 hours."
That's great.
That's a great
Yeah,
problem to have. You're not staying open till
great
9 o'clock
problem.
at night. You're done early.
That's how we got through the pandemic. We did pop-ups the whole time,
Really,
and we did meal kits and all those little things that you do.
it's funny. I remember a friend of mine in a business group, literally in tears about COVID. This is right before anybody really even knew what it was.
Mm,
And I'm like, "Oh, you're overreacting, whatever." And then like 2 weeks later, the world shuts down. And for
yeah,
3 days, I literally went into like, I was panicked. Like, oh my God, I built this software.
yeah,
There's no catering if we're all shut down. And then I said, okay, it's not that bad. Let's take a step back. How do we just cut to the bare bones? Like, what do we need to stay in business?
right,
How do we triage and take care of our customers? No, we're not going to let you quit. We'll put you on hiatus for 6 months, keep using the
right,
software. And what are some pivots we can make with our software, like curbside pickup and some other things that we
mhm,
did? And, we
and
all,
that's when we signed up
oh, really?
because we finally had time to do this thing that we've been trying to do for years, and I
What?
finally found a software that did what I wanted it to.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say we buy as much software as we sell because obviously we'd be broke, but we are big buyers of software because those systems that we used to do with spreadsheets and checklists
Mhm,
and whatever, somebody has built a good piece of software that's going to save us time. Why do I want to invest in human capital when I can invest in that software?
yeah,
And now with AI where it's headed, it's just going to get better and better to help you execute and do the things that really you don't need someone to do. And even
yeah, I heard you talk about AI last podcast. I'm still not on the AI train, but
Well, it doesn't
I'm
matter if
interested.
you're on the train or not, the train
The
will be
trains.
passing your station. Now, there is something to be said about grassroots relationships. So one of the things I'm not a futurist, but I have predictions and they're worth what you're going to pay me for them. But I definitely think AI is not going to replace human interaction, right?
Mm,
So, for
it can't.
instance, no, it can't. And until they get a cyborg that you can't tell the difference, which I don't know that we're going to be around for that. or what that's going to be like. But there could be a day where we don't drive our cars anymore, right? You see Waymo and you see all this stuff coming, and it's like there's probably a lot of people don't need to be driving. And so, where's the
My
opportunity?
mom, yes.
Yeah, yeah. My dad just ran into the neighbor's fence yesterday, so I get it. And you think, okay, where's the opportunity? There's going to be car ranches, right? Just like there's dude ranches with horses, because no one's riding their horse in the middle of town. And
Right.
and then people are going to be more like, I do want to deal with humans, and I want this human experience, but there's still going to be a lot of stuff that AI places. You talk about this dishwasher. If Elon Musk delivers a robot that can wash dishes and you pay $50,000 for that robot, that dishwasher is going to have a higher and
Nope.
best use. Nope. What?
I like, but robot's not going to be able to, talk about New Orleans like my dishwasher does. And nah, it's something about working with people and talking to people. I mean, it's also a family.
Well, okay, maybe when your dishwasher dies and you have to replace him, you get an AI bot. I just think it's going to be we're probably at the point that we haven't been since the Industrial Revolution. Like literally, you're going from
Yeah,
the
it's a big
agricultural
shift.
world to things in factories and whatever. It's crazy. I mean, we're trying to stay steps ahead with a lot of the things we're doing for our clients, like just even following up on proposals. Like right now, you have to manually follow up on a proposal. We're automating the process. It's not going to really be AI, but it's going to be automated with reminders along the way, and customers can accept the proposal. It's not 100% on you, dependent on you converting that proposal into an order.
Yeah, there's really something satisfying of going, making an order, though. I mean, all those things, like, I like that. I still write checks.
I don't even own a check.
I
I don't
enjoy
own a
the
check.
physical process.
Yeah, but you have your business, right? But
Mhm.
imagine if you and your husband and went down the path of now we have 5 barbecue restaurants across Seattle. You can't take every catering proposal and convert it. Now you're relying on those people in the store. And, hey,
Mhm.
Tom's really good at follow up. Sue isn't. This tool is going to help Sue make sure nothing falls through the cracks, because the cracks that she's dropping is costing us 25,000 a year in events. And Tom's good at that. So those are the types of
Yeah,
things.
I can tell when in the current state that it is, I can tell if I'm getting hit by a bot, and it makes me irked,
Yeah.
and
Well,
so.
just hold on. Just wait. It's coming. I don't even know what to do about it. But
I
anyway,
know.
but there's still the counter to that is the people who give high touch, high human interaction experiences. They're going to be in demand because you can't replicate that with it. AI is just going to enhance what you do on the back end, but it's not going to take away from your friendly staff that goes out and, the way you do things. So,
Right, we also have a small restaurant, we're minor partners at Alebrijes Kitchen in Seattle. It's a Mexican restaurant, and that's what people love. They love the friendly service. It's so every review talks about that. So I'm like, "Okay."
do you work in that business?
I do, I do Friday nights, I do payroll, you know, I do the website.
Do they cater out of that business?
We do, it's really small. Like, right
Because,
now, we just kinda use Easy Cater,
yeah,
like.
well, definitely Mexican and catering work well. It's like barbecue. It
They're
caters
great.
very well.
It's our next growth,
Yeah,
we're growing that slowly. It's a small kitchen, small restaurant, um, but yeah, it's all part of it.
very cool. So one thing you said that I thought was really cool is, hold on. Uh, you described catering as part survivor, part shop, part amazing rice.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that?
At any time, there's all these different, problems can happen. Traffic, there's a convention in town. You get there and the client said they have paper goods, but they don't. Um, Someone today called in sick. I had to go jump in and do a delivery in Bellevue before this podcast. I thought today was going to be my day off. So you're always dealing with variables. We have in our both vans, we have these kits. It's called emergency cater kit. Got sterno, tongs, spoons, couple bowls, all the things you can forget.
Okay, this is definitely a writer down for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Emergency cater kit.
we had a independent courier that did all of our deliveries and setups for us, and every one of his drivers, because they were all like freelancers and we had the same people
Mm-hmm.
deliver for us,
Yeah.
they kept the tongs, barbecue sauce, silverware, cups, because
Some gloves.
exactly,
Yeah.
stuff happens, and so you don't want to have to drive 30 minutes back to the restaurant and 30 minutes.
Right.
So to have that, being proactive, I definitely am big. If you know me well, you know that I set my life up around what are potential problems that can happen
Mhm.
and how do I set up systems that they don't happen to me and somebody else is dealing with them, or I have a way that they're solved, because
Right.
I'm not reactive. I don't want to be reactive. I don't work well with reactive. I'd rather be proactive. And I have backups of backups, right? When you come to my
Right.
house, like, yeah, I have a backup. I'm not going to run out of toilet paper. That would just be a very simplistic.
Yeah. Right.
I've got backups, and when I need to refill, I know, it's like I got a system, because I can't be running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I just want to enjoy
Mm-mm.
the journey. I don't need to be stressed out.
Another little thing we do on our pack out sheet, we have something called exit strategy.
Oh, tell me
And
what that
that's
is.
to go boxes, foil pans with lids, disposable tongs and spoons. So that at the end of a full service event, you can kind of, back out. You put the food in the disposables after you talk to the client, and because
Yeah.
all caterers, they like to go back to the barn.
Yeah, and then the other advantage is you tell them, "Hey, we're going to put some food out, so it'll take care of whatever," and then you have leftovers. So if you put it as, "Hey,
Right.
you've got leftovers," then they're thinking, "Oh, I could feed my family." Great,
Right.
leave. I don't want you to take all the food with you. Leave a little.
Exactly.
Now, do you leave reheat instructions and handling instructions with those or not?
No, I mean, play by ear. We're not gonna leave masses of food.
Right.
Hopefully, we don't have massive food of left over. Sometimes people give you a really wrong head count. Um, that part is just up to them.
Yeah.
We may put it in the refrigerator if there's a refrigerator on site, and we
Yeah.
label things. Yeah,
Yeah. Um. So I know one of the things is you've worked with your husband for 22 years.
actually
Um.
longer because we met.
Well,
Yeah,
okay. Business partners with
but
your
business
husband.
partners. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, how have you navigated that? Because I pretty much have a
it's
hard,
fraught.
I have a hard rule. I don't want to be working with you. I don't want to be working with my life partner.
You really have to compartmentalize. Your work, because other people, couples, they go to work, they come back. How was your day, honey? Yeah, I know how your day was. Um, how do you not like? I need a little break from you. So you have to figure out ways to connect in ways that are not related to the business. Um, and set aside time. A couple date nights. We don't do a ton of them, but sometimes. Also, just giving each other space. And in the business, we have our roles. Very, I can cook with like the next one person, but in our business, he's the chef. I'm the CEO, basically.
And I think that's really important, because now you're second guessing your partner. They feel like you're micromanaging them, or, oh, it's never
Hmm.
good enough. And I think when you divide and conquer, then 1 + 1 can equal 3. If you're
Absolutely.
if you're up each other's rear ends and he's telling you how to put together a proposal and you're telling him how to season the ribs, it's like nothing's getting done, and all you're doing there
Nothing's
is
getting done.
pointing fingers at each other and going in circles. So I
Yeah.
think if you are, as an outsider looking in, if you are going to partner with your life partner, find out what are your strengths and stick to that lane, and what are their
Mhm.
strengths, stick to that lane. And is there somebody else you have to bring in to handle other lanes? And everybody does what they do best, and then you know, everyone will do well along the way.
And know that, having other people do strengthen your relationship in the sense because it takes some of the pressure off it only being the 2 of you.
Yeah. So, 22 years it's over a life sentence in prison. It's a long time to have a business. Most businesses don't make it past a year or 5 years. Um, where are you in your life cycle of, are you like, "Hey, we wanna sell it in the next 5 to 10 years. We wanna have our kids take over. Hey, we're having
You know, we
fun.
told
We
our
wanna
kids,
expand." Go ahead.
"Don't do anything in the food business." No, not necessarily, but, we're definitely thinking about retirement and exits our exit strategy, and whether someone will buy your business is always a bit of a crapshoot, but, we're setting it up so that at some point, it would be easy for someone to step in and take over.
And when you say setting it up to sell, what does that mean? So if somebody's listening and they're thinking, you know what, I've had a good run, I've made good money, and I think it's a good business, and somebody else could do well coming in and taking over what I've built, either expanding it or keep running it. What are, two, three, four things you would do to set it up to be sellable?
Yeah. Being organized in your system so that you could just say, here's your database, here your customer base. This is our season. This is when you need to talk to this client. This is when you're going to get a heavy amount of wedding clients calling you. So, kind of always being that aware of the calendar, being able to communicate that calendar to someone. Um, Training them, making sure that your recipe books and those kind of things are all up to date and clear. Um, let's see, making sure your brand is clean, it's that people know your brand. If you like, we got our bands wrapped a couple years ago. They look great. We meant to do it before the pandemic. you know.
Right.
Um, Now they're done, so that really looks good. We've got these two bands that match, part of a fleet. Plus our mobile smoker, and yeah, just making sure all your equipment is working and the space looks beautiful.
Yeah. I would definitely say have your books buttoned up. You see a lot of people who try to run, take the cash out, and then they, oh, but we really did this, and we, running two sets of books. And you
Yeah.
you can't get paid twice on it. If you're gonna screw the government, you're not getting it
Mhm.
on the way out, and it's really, I think it makes it tougher to sell if you're showing on the very front end you're inauthentic and you're not to be trusted.
Y Yeah, you're not making enough with, I mean, if you're trying to keep 2 books or try to mess with it, you're just making more problems for yourself, and you're not really helping yourself. I always just try to run my business so that if anyone came in, a family member, a community member, I would have nothing to hide.
That's awesome. And I do think, whether you use something like Caterzen or whatever, having everything is systematized and having good sets of books and systems where somebody could literally come in and say, "Hey, I can see the database of customers. Here's the order history. You can't
Here's
make
what
up
we're
right
doing.
here. You can see everything here. This is what you're buying." You could
Yeah,
call for customers and talk to them.
right.
You have a system, and it's the same way we sell. Like, one of the reasons you want good software is that if Julie decides she's going to leave for a month, somebody else could literally pick up the software or quote unquote the
Right.
systems you set up and run the business. And it's not relying on one person, it's relying on the systems. And that's why
Absolutely.
that's why I gravitated towards the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. He talks about running your business on systems. I always say, you know, personalities, processes versus personalities, because processes equal profits, personalities equal problems.
And maybe a few friends along the way, but yeah,
Yeah,
the system's really important. And the fact that I can run it from home on a day that I need to run from home, I can be in Thailand and check something if I really needed to. I try not to if I'm on a trip, but it's possible.
Do y'all travel a lot?
We do, not a lot, but we travel every year.
Oh, nice.
I'm more of a traveler. Eric isn't as much. So sometimes I travel with a friend or the kids without him.
So where's the
Love
cool
staying.
where's one of your favorite places you visited?
Recently, Italy.
Where'd you go in
Um,
Italy?
we went to Firenze, Vettere, Roma, and Venezia.
Did you go to Florence? Did you
That's
say
Florence. Firenze.
Firenze?
Sorry, I speak Italian.
Oh, I don't. I speak French. I love Florence and Tuscany, and it's one of my favorite places in Italy.
Beautiful.
And a lot of places I want to see, but it's funny. People don't realize if you haven't been to Europe, you can eat whatever the heck you want, and you're not going to gain weight. It's the
I
food.
lost 3 pounds.
I've done the same. You walk a lot. The food supply is
Yeah,
clean. It's not the
so
crud
true.
that it's in our food supply, and it's like really good caliber stuff. And the portions aren't Cheesecake Factory portions. You don't need a
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory plate to get full. And
No,
so
you don't need a 2,000 calorie salad. Like,
I,
picture, I'm like, where do they put the calories?
well, it's funny. I started waiting tables. Oh, well, I didn't start waiting tables there, but I waited tables at Corky's in college, and they had a barbecue salad, which was a bed of lettuce, and then like 4 ounces of barbecue meat, then a ton of cheese and vegetables, and people would get two big dressings and a Diet Coke, and I'm like, you could have gotten an order of ribs, and it would have been half the calories because by the time you load
Right,
up all the
right.
dressing and the cheese and
Cheese, yeah.
everything, you think you're eating healthy. Those salads are not,
But they're not.
for sure.
Thailand was also an amazing place.
That's on my
I
list.
went It's amazing.
I've
I
heard.
went took the kids there without Eric because it was right when we opened Albiges and we couldn't have both of us
Yeah,
gone. And he was happy to stay home. And it was fun because my kids were teens and our first trip, just the 3 of us.
yeah. I've taken my
Yeah,
kids to Europe a couple of times, and it's nice when your kids are young adults. There's nothing fun
very
about
they're
dragging
healthy.
a 5-year-old around, but when your kids are young adults, you travel with them. It's just a whole different experience. It's
Ugh, yeah,
it's it's not like a parent and child. It's like, yes, it's a parent and child, but like you enjoy them as young adults, and you get to really interact and have a much better. And unfortunately, we didn't have the wherewithal to do more than one vacation a year. And I think the last vacation we took was maybe when I was 11 or 12 as a
yeah.
family, before my dad declared bankruptcy and what have you.
Mhm.
Um, so definitely make time, even if it's a local trip. I like how you say y'all make
Oh,
date
camping.
nights. I think date nights, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to
Mm-mm.
enjoy your life. Like my fiance is from Michigan and she lives in a very small village, 800 people.
Wow.
I can't spend money there if I want to. Like if I
Yeah,
had all the money in the world, there's not a restaurant that would break the bank. There's not, I have to
right,
drive 30 minutes to Target. There's not a Lululemon. There's not a fancy store. There's not like a super nice restaurant where you can go pop a lot of money and get
right.
fancy food. And I'm still just as happy buying a cauliflower crust pizza at Aldi's, doctoring it up and eating it at home. So you
Mm,
don't have to have
yeah.
a lot of money. It's all just it's all the perspective of everything.
And we had one trip where we were really broke one year and we had this free place to stay, cheap tickets, and we went to Austin in the winter. And it was one of the best trips we took. The kids were pretty young, and we went to the caves, and
Oh,
it
fun.
was we loved that trip, and it was very inexpensive.
You don't have to spend a lot of money to enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always
Mm-mm.
said if I was broke, I would just go to Costco every day and get a hot dog and a Coke because they're great hot dogs.
I don't know how your body would do with a Costco hot dog every
I
day.
I would walk 10,000 steps up and down the aisles.
There we go.
So I would balance it out. It's been a pleasure
Too.
shooting shooting the bull with you about barbecue and the business and just stuff in general. It's always nice when you can enjoy the conversation. So I appreciate your time today. Appreciate you being a client, and can't wait for everybody to listen to this. Thanks so much, Julie.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take care.
You've been listening to Barbecue Catering Smarts, where we bring you the best ideas, stories, and strategies from across the barbecue catering industry. We hope today's episode sparked new insights to help you refine your systems, elevate your customer experience, and grow your catering profits. For more episodes and insights, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time.